Hi there, Manic Smith here, $500 trillion man, and this is my free gift to the world. So, years ago, I was worth plus 50 million and I went to minus 50 million. I was 100 million swing. But before that, I used to do things without understanding the law of attraction or manifestation or how any of this works. I used to do a lot of visualization, and because I was brought up in a rich dad, poor dad environment, I understood money, and I used to visualize, and particularly with property. And I would go to sleep at night and I'd start adding up all the different properties that I owned, how I could add value to them. Got to a point where the next big property was the biggest play, and that's when we hit the crash. And that was property, 23 acres, bought for 23 million. And I said to myself, wow, if I get that rezoned, that's going to be worth 230 million. So I was well on course to becoming a billionaire. So the reason why I mentioned this is to get myself into this flow state here, because it's time to manifest money again. I've spent the last 5 years solid working on different models and creating different models, and I'll talk to you about the financial model and what's in it for you. But before I get to that, and the 100 trillion worth of fees and the universal income and 8 billion entrepreneurs and a fully functional financial ecosystem that leads to everybody becoming their own bespoke financial system, what will it mean? Well, it'll mean that your vision, your purpose, your passion, your desire are all contained within this model. And you can create whatever world it is that you wish to create. So the model contains 8 billion people. It's way bigger, way bigger than me. But it's aligned to universal principles. And what it'll do is it'll create master plans for the entire world. So it's like eco cities, sports cities, tech cities, all rolled into one. Space cities. The same technology that's going to be used in all this, in one of these, will be used in all buildings. It'll also include the metaverse, which is the virtual world, which means anything created by 8 billion people, both in the physical world and the metaverse world, will be created out of this. But there's also the human aspect, and people talk about the technology revolution, but they never talk about the human revolution. And this is one of the aspects that I am so obsessed about, and it intrigues me. And the more I go into it, the more I see the illusions that have been created to diminish a human being in terms of what is achievable. So I also discovered that human beings are a bit like computers. We are programmable. So programmable. So if you look at our senses, our 5 senses, but there's a 6th one, which is always overlooked. We absorb all this information from what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we taste. And these inner thoughts are converted within us. And through our imagination, visualization, our traumas, our behaviors, our actions, we create the outer world. So, one of the solutions I have is by putting everybody on one platform, we can now show the human beings how to program yourself. But it's individual to each person to understand yourself and what programs you want to put in, because essentially you've got a quantum computer in you, but you don't have the programs. And since the day you were born, from 0 to 7, you just absorb everything in. From your parents, from your community, your college, your school, your creche, then you get married, and then it's mortgages and 9 to 5 working, and then you kind of wake up late on in life and go, what was that all about? So you're effectively leading someone else's programs. But let me go back to the financial system, because nothing can happen until the matrix and the financial matrix is disrupted. But this is a win-win-win for every single person on the planet. The only person that loses, I guess, is the person that shuts themselves down or doesn't want to be open to this solution, because their beliefs are so entrenched that they can't see this as a solution. And primarily in the financial world at this moment in time, we've got a linear-based system, meaning some people win, some people lose. So nearly the whole world loses at some point. And there's a very small number of people who live in the quantum world. And that's the world where every possibility exists. And they know how to, A, program the human race, and B, how to make absolute fortunes. And that's creating carnage in the world at this moment in time, because it's a bit like an egg. All these external pressures are coming in from the outside on you. You know, it could be finance, it could be climate control, economic, interest rates, inflation, so on and so on, energy price, and so on and so on. And when these pressures come in, the egg cracks. So the whole idea is for human beings to understand from inside out, and to understand the financial system and how empowering it can be, and how we can create a flow of creative energy, passions, desires, all working individually and collectively together. And you're probably wondering, where did I come up with these models? Well, when I was born, I was the only boy, as they say, and 5 older sisters. So I had a rich dad and a poor dad in the one dad. But I had the belief in me that I was going to be something big and something great. And that was important. Now there's a downside to this, and there's a whole negative aspect to this, because there was a huge amount of expectation placed on me. And I found it so hard to deal with. And my dad had a factory with 1,000 women in it. I went to an all-girls school. I was put into boarding school for 6 years. So these pressures on me created a classic introvert. And that's why I found it so hard over the last 4 years to come out of my shell and tell people about what I'm doing. Oh, well, I told people what I was doing, but they completely dismissed it. So much so that I had to play myself down so small and just connect from their level of perception. And that's not a judgment on anybody. So anyway, I come out of boarding school, I didn't know what I was going to do. I ended up getting a job with my brother-in-law. And then eventually I ended up in property, and through the help of my dad, I effectively got 2 million and made that into 50 million. And I did a course in Trinity College, which is like a tech course. It's the first of its kind. It's what all the programmers use now to program computers. And that's important because I got an understanding of very simple basic tech principles. And those principles, like I said, self-apply to human beings. We are so programmable, computers are programmable. Right, so then I went to minus 50 million and there was a big crash. Oh, I'd done a sports diploma course, but I never finished it. So there's lots of these things happening and recurring with me in terms of courses, starting, stopping, looking for my purpose, looking for my passion. But I never felt fulfilled. And the story I have is